Now, in 2025, the term data analyst is used more loosely than ever. You got data analysts who spend hours and hours a day coding Python. You got data analysts who solely are building dashboards. And you got data analysts who only use Excel and have never used another analytical tool. None of these are wrong. They just all can have the job title data analyst. Now, what that means is when you're looking for a role as a data analyst, you have to be a bit broader with your search because in 2025, these technical tools are being utilized by more and more areas of the business, and analysts have got more and more job titles than they ever have before. You can see data analysts, some might just be analysts, you might be more specific, like insurance analyst, finance analyst, BI analysts, business intelligence analysts, lots of different technical analysts, lots of different titles. So in order to find the right role that's suitable for you, I think you need to do more than just search for the title data analyst. And in this video, I'm going to break down exactly how you can look and find the job title and the role that's applicable for you to be applying to. And let's dive into it. So this is my LinkedIn. LinkedIn, if you don't have one already, definitely create one. It's a very important tool to have right now as we approach 2026. It's where recruiters can find you, it's where potential employers can find you, and you can connect with like minded individuals interested in the same space that you are. I would definitely make sure you have your full name. So don't just have something like your initials, or you want to have something where people can identify you properly, especially as you'll be applying for roles. Recruiters and employers, they'll jump straight on LinkedIn and they'll have a look and say, is this who are you who you say you are? They want to have a look and see your background, your skills, maybe you're connected to, things you're interested in, just to have a nose around. So definitely make sure you have this filled out. Of course, this is mine. So it says senior data analyst. Given the sector, I've got my top skills that I am currently using and what I'm doing, currently contracting. And then you want to make sure that you've got all of your previous roles filled out, your education history, if you have one, and then the skills here I find are really important. So you want to make sure that you've got your data skills on there. So your your data analysis, SQL, Power BI, Excel, whatever it may be. Now, the next thing before we start going into the actual search is on LinkedIn, you've got this button here which shows you, shows people who are looking at your profile that you're open to work. So you can just click on it. It says open to, and put finding a new job. So you can see here, you can select the type, the job title you want, and the type of work you're looking for. So whether it's hybrid, on site, or completely remote, location, and then you can say the employment types. And if you wanted to hide it from your employers, I think LinkedIn tries its best to do so. You can say, whether you want everyone to be able to see it or just recruiters or not, and whether you're immediately actively applying or just having a casual look around the market. So that's one thing, and we'll come back on to LinkedIn, onto our LinkedIn profile. What I want to have a look at on LinkedIn is the LinkedIn job section. And I'm going to look at it in LinkedIn, and I'm going to look at it in a couple of other job boards. So we just click onto jobs. If you already have LinkedIn, LinkedIn already knows from your profile and previous searches, it's got a fairly good algorithm that can find the roles that it feels are applicable to you, which is good. But it's not the be all and end all of your search. Now, where I think people in today's job market struggle with the term data analyst is that it's such a broad term. I know data analysts who write hundreds of lines of Python code, build really comprehensive Power BI dashboards. I also know data analysts who use nothing but Excel. I also actually know data analysts that don't really do any form of of code, barely involved in the tech process, but are very involved in solutionizing for companies. So that's almost like I operate as a consultant, but have the title as a data analyst, but don't really analyze data, and don't really build programs or tools. So it's a very vast it's a very vast industry, and the term data analyst can apply to a whole bunch of responsibilities. So with that in mind, I would say, as well as when you're actually searching for skills, so you can go in here. I've just put the London market, but the London area, but you can put whichever area is applicable to you. Search data analyst. You will see data analyst roles within your selected area. Yeah, you can also do things and filter on things like the date, the experience level, salary, company, whether it's remote or an in-person role, and you can apply and you can filter those jobs that way. But I would say in here, people don't utilize this skill enough. Yeah, and I've always found it easier to search by skill, because then I can actually have a more thorough look through roles that I wouldn't necessarily have looked at by the job title itself. So less so with LinkedIn, but if I was to type in SQL, for example, you can see the results start to change slightly. So roles that wouldn't have popped up for me before, such as a data modeler, um, maybe finance data analyst would have popped up before, but you start to see other roles, different titles, BI developer roles, just broking insights, business intelligence consultant, that have got SQL in it. As a LinkedIn algorithm tries to find the roles that it feels would be most applicable to you based on your profile and perhaps search history and connections and everything else. But searching by a skill opens the net a little bit wider. Uh, and I'll go on to show some examples in some of the others in Total Jobs and Indeed. But just before I go into that, why I think that's so important is you, particularly people who have got experience in other areas outside of data, working history outside of being a data analyst or within that region, you can find a role that could be very similar to the current role that you're in that's not a data analyst, or your previous role that's as not a data analyst, that has a very similar skill set to what you currently have been doing, but also incorporate something like a SQL or a Power BI. And that could mean a very clear and easier pivot across from the experience that you've currently got into a new position. Just as an example, I mean, I came from a sales background, yeah, and I was in sales around 8 years ago, and for my own personal reasons, I wanted to pursue a career in tech and data. So, started doing my learning and doing my courses and everything else. And once I was at the level, I was like, great, you know, I want to get in this industry. But I also didn't want to be in a role where I was just sat in front of a computer, locked away somewhere in a tall tower, like a Disney film, and not having any interactions with people. I like speaking to people. I like hearing about the problem firsthand from stakeholders, and I like presenting data, presenting solutions to people. Yeah. So I still wanted to incorporate that side of my experience of being able to speak to people, being able to listen to people, being able to hear the pain and pressure points of the business, and then go away and solutionize for them. So I didn't want to just go and find the first, you know data analyst role. So at the time, I was looking at roles like tech consultant, stuff like sales consultant, and analyst, and things that had a level of customer facing or client facing responsibilities, as well as a technical side. And One, it became I found it easier because I didn't feel like I was then starting from a complete beginner base, because I was able to walk into roles and say, I'm good at the sales element, I'm good at the talking element, I'm good at the project management, and the speaking technical terms to non-technical folks and whatever. But where I wasn't as strong at the time was in the technical skills, the writing SQL code, the building dashboards, the writing Python, and all of that stuff, which you can, learn to develop over time. And I think the same applies now. But in a world where you've got so much stuff online, we've got so much content about data analysts and what data analysts do, and there's so many different versions of them. I feel like people gear more towards roles that are in faced in laptop type roles, because that's what they see online. Whereas I think nowadays, especially, we're shifting way more to analyst roles, so to a role where data analysts are doing a lot more than just sitting in front of a laptop. I actually think we've gone so far that way now that people with the title data analysts aren't actually analyzing data very much. Whether those job titles will change over time, I don't know. But the people who are actually analyzing the data, to the point where they're making strategic decisions for the business, tend to be your stakeholders, your senior managers, your C-suite. And then you have data analysts who are a more suitable title often would be something like data cleanser, data transformer, data puller, sometimes data entry. So all of that to say, I think when you're searching on skills, you open up the net a lot more, and you get to see roles where your skills can still be very, very much useful. But you can apply them, and you can find roles that are also relevant to your current working history as well as what you're trying to get into. So with that, then, if we head over to like Indeed, and again, I'll just type in London, as that's where I'm based. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to type in data analyst, go to find jobs, and Indeed's actually another really good tool. But again, you'll see here that the roles that come up are the ones that have got the two words data and analyst in. So if we click on here, we'll see data in here somewhere, and we'll see analyst, and it will do it in order of what it deems as most relevant. I'm not actually signed in, so its relevance will be based on these, the two top words that I've typed in and the location. Which is great. You'll see a lot of roles that say data analyst, basically data analyst, trust data analyst, junior data analyst, junior developer / analyst, retail data analyst, so on and so forth. Now, if I was to go and type in here, for example, Power BI, and go to find jobs, you still see some of the data analyst roles, but then you notice that you start to see different roles as well that we didn't see on the first search, such as CRM systems engineer. Not that this would necessarily be applicable to me, but if someone who's had experience working with with a CRM tool, oh, not TalkSport today, or FP&A manager, if you sort of coming from like a finance background, see head of data analytics, different Microsoft Power Platform engineer, asset intelligence manager, senior data science consultant, Power BI developer. You start to see roles that don't just have the role data analyst, but will still be within the realms of the newly acquired skills that you've picked up from your program, or roles that you've been skills that you've been learning recently. Yeah. See, these were these finance analyst, project manager, help desk administrator. So I always find one, I think Power BI is a great one to go. I think Excel is a bit too vague. I always think that SQL is a nice place to start when you're looking at roles that are very likely going to involve. Um, yeah, it's roles that involve SQL are very likely going to be roles that will be somewhat applicable to you. So when you type in SQL here, you'll see roles like data quality analyst, which is good. BI analyst, business intelligence. I think that came up on the other ones as well. But then you start to see, different ones. So cyber and delegated authority pricing actuary. That's obviously very specific within the insurance region. So probably not going to be um, applicable to most. Like pricing manager, senior insight analyst, credit risk manager. You just start to see a whole bunch of roles, and then you can actually filter through these roles and see, okay, right, this one might be applicable to me, and start applying. Where, if you want to, I'd say that definitely going with a skill is better and opens up the net. If you want to sort of filter through them faster, so you're not seeing a lot of roles that are just clearly not going to apply to you and your level. For example, like UK data operations manager, you might not want to see, and I don't know, like a .NET developer, fintech, 650 a day. You can do things like filter on the pay. So you can, say that you don't want the higher jobs. You can filter out some of the lower jobs on the job boards, and obviously location is one as well. And you can start doing it that way. I think Indeed's a good one because there's like an easy apply that you can do. So you can actually create your profile on Indeed, and then you can do like easy apply for. You'll see for some of them. I'll try and find one. Yeah, like an apply now. It's normally quite good. I'm not signed in. You can click on it, and it allows you to apply with quite quickly. There might be like a barrier question, but other than that, it's normally quite quick. You can apply, and very similarly with total jobs. You go on and you search up a skill, and you can just have a look, and have a click through and see what's going on there. Again, you can go on your filters there, and you can filter by you can filter by salary, yeah, and have a look. So hopefully, you can even do it sort of in order of like the lowest salary. If you're sort of looking at more of a junior level, you can have a look. Words like junior as well are normally quite good, yeah, and like Boolean searches on LinkedIn as well. So you can like use words. So you can do like SQL and junior, and which brings me to the last point, which is that if you're looking at companies specifically, so if you kind of know like the industry you want to get into, if it's like, say, banking, and of some companies that apply analysts, or even if you want to approach them directly, you can, which is good. Probably quite difficult, particularly in today's day and age where everything's online. But what's always good to do is you can have a look and see what the skill sets are that those companies are looking for in their analysts. So just as an example, if say we were looking at pick a bank, if we said at Barclays, we can go on here and type in, let's go onto our homepage. We can like look at Barclays, Barclays, and pick a skill. So say SQL. Yeah. And what we'll see is we'll start to see the people who have got Barclays and SQL on their profile. Don't want to start clicking on people's profile for the sake of this video, but you can start to see, data analyst, quant, data engineer, analytics analyst, and you can click on people's profiles and you can start to have a look on their skills section, just like we have on mine. I'll stay on mine just for the sake of not having everyone's faces on screen, and you can go into your skills section on the people who you find, and you can see what skills that they've acquired and where they've used some of their skills. For example, if I was to click on one of my previous roles, like here, for example, I can then see the skills that I've worked on at that company. So if you were to find it on Barclays or another bank or another company, you can then have a look and see what their analysts are using, what tools they're using, what version of SQL, for example, Power BI, etc., etc. Cool. I hope this has been relevant and useful for you. And for any other tips or any questions, do drop a comment, subscribe, and like. And I hope that you have a good and successful job search. Thank you.